Mel, 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 everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. Before I talk about the future of Palantir stock, I want to talk about the past, just kind of show you where I'm coming from, and maybe even brag a little bit, but that's okay. In July of 2022, I showed you this chart over here. I really was seeing a very similar pattern that might be playing up on the inverse. This fractal down here, inverted fractal over here, look very, very similar to this fractal over here, with a peak and a peak, followed by a channel, which is exactly what it did over here, right? So I ended up looking at this and I was like, let's speculate whether or not this fractal is going to work out. Looks like a head and shoulder pattern over here. Could it be a head and shoulder pattern over here for it to go up higher, right? And sure enough, it worked out. Throughout the end of 2022 and early 2023, it formed an inverted head and shoulder pattern, and it bounced off it very, very strongly. It just didn't go as fast and as high as I thought it would, and it's just a lot slower. How embarrassing, right? I mean, I'm sorry that I'm not perfect, but after it broke out of this head and shoulder or inverted head and shoulder pattern, it went through this bear market support, sorry, this bear market trend line over here. And I saw these three very important levels over here. One at around 14, the other one around 17, and another one around 2021. Right. So it looks like it was kind of back testing the bear market trend line as well as back testing around the $14 range at the bottom of this range over here. And I came up with three scenarios. The one is just going to push through to 2021, back test 17 is just going to keep going. Right? That's the bullish case. You also have a base case that was just going to back test 14 over here, push up to around 2021, back test around 17, and then move upwards, right? And you also have the bearish case where it kind of back tests the trend line and it just moved a lot slower. What ended up happening was that my base case turned out to be correct. It did bounce up to maybe a little bit higher than that, but ultimately around like 17 was pretty strong resistance. Came back around 14, bounced up, got in front of resistance around 20, 21 or so, and it just kind of went back down to around 17 or so, and it just kept going, right? So during this phase, when you're looking at this phase over here, a lot of people get scared at this shorter time frame head and shoulder pattern. I was trying to dispute this for a very, very long time. This head and shoulder pattern is probably not going to work out because if you look at this, you have a very, very strong bull trend. This is a 20-week moving average. You can see how the 20-week moving average, as you have a strong bear trend, the head and shoulder pattern potentially over here did not work out, right? And just boom, it got rejected and given all the way down. Here you have a very, very similar appearance where you have head and shoulder pattern, and sure enough, like because 20-week moving average is pointing up, it ultimately didn't work out. Ultimately ended up pushing price a lot higher, and the head and shoulder pattern was invalidated, even though pretty much like 99% of people on Twitter, formerly known as Twitter on X, have been talking about this head and shoulder pattern, but I was really adamantly saying that this was not going to be the case. Now, fast forward in terms of what's happening now. Over here, you can see that I was basically saying how I think 17 was going to be turning from support to resistance, and you're going to flip that into support before going up higher, and it turned out to be pretty good support over here. So what's going to happen next? The next important level I mentioned was $21, right? What I speculate was that it's going to probably push above the $21 range. I don't know how high it was going to go, but I think it was going to back test the $21 range before going up higher, and that's exactly what Palantir is doing right now. If you look at the current chart for Palantir, this is a 2-week chart. Everything represents 2-week worth of price action. That's exactly what it's doing right now, right? We found support around the 16-17 range when way ballistic went up all the way actually to around 27-ish. And then sure enough, got rejected, got back test over here at this very important horizontal range over here around $20, $21. And so far it looks like it's bouncing. Now, if you look at the actual chart over here, I did draw a pitchfork, which I think has fit pretty well in terms of being resistance and support levels, in terms of both here towards the bottom over here as well as towards the top up here. What you're seeing is really price has kind of broken out of this range up here, got to the bottom of the range over here, But it didn't go all the way back down to the median of this pitchfork. The reason why is because 2021 was really a very, very important support level. I can potentially see it lingering for a little bit longer and touch the median of this pitchfork before going up higher. I can totally see that happening. I can totally see it even wick down below a little bit before going up. There are some reasons as to why I think that it may not happen because this stock has a lot of buying pressure. If you just, like it's a lot of buying pressure on this stock. If you just look at the Black Cat fund flow chart, you can see that really ever since the bottom, the whales have just been having inflow up like crazy. Like even over here, you think there's a little bit of outflow over here, but so far it's not really any significant outflow. Like all these inflow that came in on this oscillator is still pushing close to like 90 to 100. And right now it did cool back down to around like 80 or 70. But there's still a lot of whales that are here right now. And I can prove that to you by looking at the institutional ownership of Palantir. Really, throughout the entire year of last year, it's just been going up. Very, very nice and straight line. And there has been a lot of buying pressure now, despite the month of May having had earnings that didn't really quite have the price reaction that a lot of bulls would hope to have. You still have a pretty significant increase in whale fund flow, at least based on institutional accumulation that you can see on fintel.io, right? I mean, a lot of these data might end up being delayed. Sure, there might be some whales end up by selling over here, but the trend is a trend, right? And trend's your friend, and there has been increase in institutional ownership of Palantir. Right now, the institutional ownership of Palantir is closer to about 40%. Actually, it's over 40%, 41.5%. And it's kind of getting stuck in a range over here between the horizontal zone over here as well as the diagonal line over here for this pitchfork. And trying to break back above, got rejected, right? From earnings, got rejected. Going back all the way back down here at the 2021 range, found support. Right now, it's just kind of somewhere in the middle over here. A couple of scenarios that could happen. One is if the economic data turns out well, if the stock market turns out well, if it turns out to be one of those, everything bull rally kind of thing, it could potentially just, over the next couple of months, it could potentially just push up all the way to like 30. That's always a possibility. If it didn't turn out to be that way, it might actually bounce a little bit further on the side over here. Or maybe it could be doing one of these things where it just like bounce back up and then bounce back down, test the median of this pitchfork before going up higher to the 30s. I can totally see that happening because there is still a lot of history over here at this particular region for a very, very long time, right? If you do a volume shelf profile, you can see that we're hitting some pretty important resistance over here. So I can see it potentially, if it can push through, because if the overall market is doing pretty well, great. I can also potentially see it kind of just say, bam, 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 and then trying to find enough energy for next support level over here from the median of this pitchfork before bouncing through this resistance. And once you bounce through this resistance, I think it probably would go up to the 30s here in a hurry. And, there's not really a whole lot of history over here. I think it could end up potentially going a lot higher in a hurry once it's able to break through this big, giant resistance with this volume shelf over here, just because there's a lot of price history over here from 2020 and 2021. That's kind of where I'm seeing next. Now, if you look at the Ichimoku cloud, I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff over here. If you look at the Ichimoku cloud for the 2-week, what you're going to see here, I'm also going to get rid of the fork over here. What you're going to see here is that it has been trying to find some support right around the Tenkan here for the 2-week chart, which is the blue line over here. And it also has some further support that's quickly rising from this Kijun that can come up and push price up higher as support down here too, right? Right now the Kijun is around 19 point something, 19.5. If you give enough time, it ranges enough, you're going to end up develop even more and more support that's going to come up and try to push price up higher. But right now is at a pretty interesting spot right here. I'm not sure if it's going to end up doing this going up just because there's a lot of buying pressure. It might just end up going up higher over time. But I do want to come up with a scenario where it just kind of goes sideways before going up. There are a couple of indicators to kind of tell you why I think it's probably not going to end up going sideways. Probably going to end up just keep going up higher over the next couple of months. we'll talk about that a little bit. But first of all, let's try and find support here in the 2-week Kijun, right? It's way above the Ichimoku cloud, push above the Ichimoku cloud on high volume, right? All these things are very, very bullish. Another couple of things to, kind of show you too would be a monthly chart. The monthly chart also is playing out very beautifully. You remember how weekly chart was trying to flip the Tenkan into support? On the monthly chart, the Tenkan is definitely support. You can see this blue line over here that has served as support for 2 months in a row, for the month of April and for the month of May. Right? Very beautiful support so far is what Tenkan is doing. Tenkan and the bull market can serve as very, very good support level. Just like bear market, I mean, over here, this bear market is so vicious that it didn't even back test the Tenkan. It just kept on going down, 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 down. Until it does, back test the Tenkan, failed, back test the Tenkan again, failed. And just kind of pushed through it because this is unsustainable. Like it didn't even touch the Tenkan on the way down. Like this is completely unsustainable. On the way up, got too far away from the Tenkan, from the blue line, got punished all the way back down, right? And it just kind of hugged the Tenkan, found Tenkan as support, pushed price up higher, way too far away from the Tenkan again, right? Got punished back down. Had a little bit of bull flag over here. Got punished back down, got close to the Tenkan. Actually, over here, you have bullish Tenkan Kijun cross over here. Kind of bounce a little bit from vision through the Tenkan, right? And right now it's just forming a little bit of bull flag over here. I don't think it has to correct any further because the Tenkan generally serves as very good support on the monthly chart. And also the sell and volume over here so far has just been absolutely pathetic. Like there really isn't anybody who wants to sell. Bears have 3 months straight to try and push price down to reverse this big giant green candle, and they've just been unable to do it. So they're actually not very strong at all. It's pretty sad actually to look at, unfortunately. Now, in addition to that, I just want to show you a couple other indicators over here. I want to show you the RSI. It's not even really all that overbought. I'm going to put up another indicator here too, the unbalanced volume here. But you look at the RSI, it's not even really that overbought here on the monthly. Like it's like the 60s at most, right? And it cooled down all the way down to like the high 50s now. It's not that overbought on the monthly. Like there's still plenty of room to potentially like just keep on going. Like it's just getting warm up over here. That's what I'm seeing. But a lot of bullish energy are coming. A lot of big giant buying volume here is coming. A lot of small sell volume here is coming. So if you look at the overall summary of what the volume is doing, you can look at the unbalanced volume indicator, which is here at the bottom. What you're really seeing here is a very, very clear divergence where price have just been going up like this, almost parabolically, when the unbalanced volume was actually going down. Now, this is a hidden bullish divergence here. Basically, just tells you that there's actually a lot of bullish energy that's being built up over here. It's not overbought, bullish energy being built up. That's the message, right? Don't overcomplicate it. So that is the Ichimoku cloud. If you look at the Bollinger Band, you're going to see that right now price has really been inside the Bollinger Band for about 3 months in a row. I do think that at some point the upper Bollinger Band, as you can see right now, the Bollinger Band, just because price kind of went sideways here for 3 months, starting to contract here a little bit. I do think that the upper Bollinger Band is probably going to end up serving as a magnet to push price up higher. Since this is a bull trend, it's going to end up riding the upper Bollinger Band going up, and the Bollinger Band is also going to end up continue to expand. Right now, there's really no sign of exhaustion for the bull trend, so this favors the bull trend to continue. And you can see that right now the upper Bollinger Band is around 26.4 or so. I think it's going to end up serving as a magnet over the next couple of months to push price up higher. 20-month moving average is very, very nicely curled up. This is a very, very strong bull trend that's probably going to end up continuing for a while. Again, the reason why I also think this bull trend is going to continue for a while because we just had the bullish Tenkan Kijun cross back in January, just literally 5 months ago. When you have a cross like this, the bull trend could potentially last a lot longer, depending on underlying asset, right? But this bull trend that from here on out, like this is very, very nicely confirmed. If you look at like the past other, past stocks like Amazon, where they come up from the dot-com bubble, as well as other, when you see something like this, price go on for a pretty epic run afterwards. So that is going to be the monthly chart. Let's move on to the weekly. And the weekly, I'm just going to show you one thing, which is the bull market support band. It has so far reclaimed back the bull market support band. Is only Thursday, right? Who knows what Friday is going to bring? Maybe end up having another rejection down, but that's okay. What happened last time when the price underneath the bull market support band for weeks and weeks at a time? Everybody got a little bit scared, including myself actually, because I see hey, it keeps getting rejected. What's going on? And the next thing you know, it just have this big giant green candle. Right now, it's just doing what it's supposed to, back testing the bull market support band, back testing this horizontal level over here. Despite this big giant bearish engulfing candle, it didn't really end up having any continuation because there's a big demand for the stock, and this is a very important horizontal range over here. So sometimes these kind of bearish engulfing look doesn't necessarily work out, especially when the trend is still bullish. So we'll see whether or not we're able to close the week back above the bull market support band, which is going to really strongly favor bullish continuation if it's able to do that. But we'll see. We have one more day. Now, on the daily, I'm just going to show you the daily chart over here real quick. There's a big giant gap down here below, right? The gap is not going to fill until really the price gets to around 17.87. Is it going to fill? Possibly. I don't think it's very likely. I think this whole horizontal zone over here around 2021 is very, very strong. I don't think it's very likely at all. But you never know. Right over here, it looks like it's trying to close the gap down here, but then it ultimately end up closing it. Right, the gap is still open over here. The gap is still open over here. The gap is still open over here. Right, there's another gap over there. I think that's all the gaps. Are all these gaps going to end up closing on the daily when the fundamental of the company just keeps getting better and better? When the entire bear trend over here was probably a little bit too unjustified and too parabolically down. I'm not sure if this gap's going to fill. I'm just not. And so far, basically what I'm looking at, if I have to bet, I don't think this gap is going to fill. So I've been making myself a rule throughout the entire time of Palantir as I was buying. I was making a rule to myself. I was looking at 2021 being a very, very important resistance level. I was like, hey, when price gets about 2021, I'm not going to buy anymore. I broke my rule. Price got back to around 22 or something like that. I ended up buying back around 22. I ended up buying back around 2021. I'm still DCAing right now at these prices, even though it's above 21, because I find this to be a very important back test. And so far, it looks like we might be end up having a little bit of a double bottom kind of look over here. It looks like the same fractal on the way up, actually. Like this whole thing right here that has been doing looks very, very similar to what has been doing over here during this block. It also looks very, very similar to what has been doing over here in this block. Like the market maker just seemed lazy, maybe, and it's just keep on having the same structure. This is the personality of Palantir, This is the personality of Palantir, because over here it actually also makes the very, very similar look over here, right? So I guess that's just his personality. It keeps on making these kind of fractals on the way up. I like where it is at right now. I like where the fundamentals of the company is going. I like where the market overall is going. And I think that this is going to be one of those names that Wall Street's going to end up keep watching over the next, few years. I'm going to keep DCAing probably around here. I might consider stopping whenever it gets real high to the 22, 23 range. I might end up stop buying, but I just can't help myself because I keep seeing the earnings, I keep seeing the fundamentals, and I keep seeing what the general overall market is going to do. I get excited about it. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Have a good one. Bye.